This additional episode about Sun Tzu's Art of War is supported by the Great Courses Plus. And today we take a look at Chapter 6, Void and Actuality. Although it should be noted that some translations use a different chapter title, namely Weak Points and Strong. So let's take a closer look. The first part is mainly about initiative and strategic mobility. Generally, he who occupies the field of battle first and awaits his enemy is at ease, and he who comes later to the scene and rushes into the fight is wary. So basically the idea is to keep the enemy on the back foot as much as possible. Thus the enemy must react instead of acting, so ideally one brings the battle to the enemy. This means determining when and where a battle will take place. If an enemy is deeply entrenched or fortified, Sun Tzu suggests that one attacks an enemy position that he must relieve, thus forcing him to engage or lose this vital position. This can include misleading the enemy to think he is acting as well. One able to make the enemy come to his own accord, does so by offering him some advantage. Furthermore, mobility should be focused on movement that the enemy does not expect. Appear at places which he is unable to rescue, move swiftly in a direction where you are least expected. This way one's army should be able to move with ease a far distance, while still retain its combat effectiveness, since it won't be engaged nor harassed by enemy forces. Another major part of the chapter focuses on playing one's strength and against the enemy's weaknesses, like defending places that are easy to defend or the enemy won't dare to attack. Similarly, one should attack enemy positions that are weakly defended. This of course can be achieved in several ways, for instance by exploiting existing terrain, superior intelligence, or an inept enemy commander. Sun Tzu notes, against those skilled in attack the enemy does not know where to defend, and against the experts in defense the enemy does not know where to attack. He also notes various ways to wear down the enemy combat effectiveness before the battle. Thus, when the enemy is at ease, be able to tire him, when well fed, to starve him, when at rest, to make him move. Additionally, deception should also be used in order to bring the enemy into a weak position. Of course, the best combination is to deceive the enemy while at the same time having proper intelligence on the enemy forces and positions. This allows one to concentrate his forces against the enemy, thus allowing to strike united while the enemy is divided. Numerical weakness comes from having to guard against possible attacks, numerical strength from forcing the enemy to make these preparations against us. Sun Tzu notes, it is also crucial to know where and when a battle will take place. This allows the proper preparation, strategic movement and deployments. This requires analyzing the enemy and his plans. This includes determining his patterns of movement, bring him to reveal his position, or performing probing attacks to determine his strength. Since an enemy will likely also analyze one's patterns of engagement, Sun Tzu notes, when a victory is won, one's tactics are not repeated. One should always respond to circumstances in an infinite variety of ways. Let's revisit Chapter 6 and add some examples from military history here. Now the thoughts on initiative are still very valid. Overwhelming the enemy by acting fast and thus forcing him to react, and at one point being unable to react, is a theme in modern warfare. For instance by General Mattis. Information passing, speed of logistics, resupply, speed of assembly, area operations, speed of getting orders out to people. But speed in itself creates a dilemma for the enemy, because even if they are reacting to what you're doing, if you're already doing something else, he's got another problem. And you keep doing this faster and faster so long as you don't lose your own basic harmony. Similarly, appearing at unexpected places, appear at places which he is unable to rescue, move swiftly in a direction where least expected. This was also a key element during the German invasion of France in 1940. With the panzers in the lead and the poor infantry forced marching until it dropped, the Germans slid across the rear of the huge Allied army in Belgium. Thus the aspect on initiative and strategic mobility are still very valid. Of course, the part of exploiting the enemy's weaknesses and playing to one's own strength is also viable, as is the concept of wearing down and probing the enemy. This was for instance very common during the times of Napoleon. In an age in which weeks and even months of maneuver preceded the decisive battle, these light horsemen swarmed the countryside, probing for enemy weak points, seeking out information on strength and location, and doing near continuous battle with enemy light infantry bent on the same mission. The part about concentrating one's forces while the enemy forces are divided is of course similar to the divide and conquer principle, but probably more specific to the concept of Schwerpunkt, sometimes called center of gravity or focal point. As a basic example for Schwerpunkt in an attack, the basic idea was to use one's best forces against the enemy's weakest point. which of course required that the enemy would not know when an attack was occurring beforehand. As Sun Tzu also stated, the enemy must not know where I intend to give battle, for if he does not know where I intend to give battle, he must prepare in great many places. The idea about studying the enemy's plan and patterns are also still very valid. Today this is a key function of staff officers for intelligence and security. Or to give another specific example, during the preparations for the invasion of Iraq 2003, General Mattis assigned officers to study the enemy's commanders. The reason for this, Mattis explained in an interview, is that if he could outfight an enemy commander, he wouldn't have to fight his troops. In summary, the lessons of this chapter are still very viable. It covers a wide range of military principles, like key elements of modern staff functions, interior lines, Schwerpunkt, strategic and operational mobility. Now a little word from our sponsors, the Great Courses Plus. If you're interested in strategy and strategic thinkers, you probably like the video series Masters of War, History's Greatest Strategic Thinkers by Andrew R. Wilson, since he covers Sun Tzu, Clausewitz, Machiavelli, counterinsurgency and many more topics all around strategy, in total 24 episodes. This is quite impressive by itself, but he's also professor of strategy and policy at the United States Naval War College. His series is one of many on the Great Courses Plus, which covers a wide range of topics from educators, including Ivy League professors and other highly regarded institutions. Click on the link in the description below or just type in www.thegreatcoursesplus.com/mhv, also shown on the screen, and get access to a library of different video lectures about history, science, philosophy and many other topics. Note that there are more than 9,000 lectures available. New subjects, lectures and professors are added every month. With the Great Courses Plus you can watch as many different lectures as you want anytime, anywhere. If that sounds great for you, start your free trial by going to the URL shown on the screen or linked in the description. This will allow you to watch all video courses, and by doing so you will also support this channel. As always, sources are in the description. If you like this video, you might want to take a look at my previous videos on Sun Tzu, or maybe a closer look at General Mattis' way of war. Anyway, thank you for watching and see you next time.